And hello again, and here we are back in my garage, and I'm here pondering what to do about my Guzzi, and in particular the seat unit and the upholstery. Now, last time I was doing a video, I explained why that new upholstered seat doesn't work very well. It's my fault, beautifully made, just needs to go back and have it redone at some point. So I thought, oh, no problem, it will fit a bit better if I slammed it down, because I can do that because the mounts are all adjustable. So I removed a couple of spacers and dropped it down, which is how it is now. The back space is not right yet, so don't worry about that. I'm sure if it does fit a lot better, so I thought, great, I can live with that. But then the more I look at it, the more I think, oh no, it looks awful, because the line, that lower line of the seat, now is no longer in line or aligned with the lower edge of the tank. It looks awful. And it reminded me why I fitted it the way I did last time, because that's the way it looks the best. So it's like, oh yeah, okay. So I think what I'll have to do now is raise it back up again, put the spacers back in, and just go with a different option for that seat. And you know, whatever I do, it won't be perfect. I was trying to get it to look like a standard bike, kind of absolutely smooth everywhere, and you know, as well as we can get it. But sadly, I just can't do that. I've pondered it and pondered it and pondered it. And the big problem is that the aluminium seat unit, the red bit here, is a little bit wider than the back of the aluminium tank. And when you sort of look at it from a distance, it doesn't make much difference. But when you put the seat on it, you put the upholstery on it, there's a gap. You know, so whatever you do, that gap's going to be there. I can't cut up the tank and I can't cut up the aluminium seat, so I'm kind of stuck with it. So you think, well, okay, can't do anything about that, so I need to sort of mitigate that in some way. So I've been pondering it for like hours on end, which is what I do sometimes. It's like, well, okay, there's a gap, can't do anything about that, let's just go with it, you know. So there'll be a gap, don't care, I'll just sort of adjust the seat here. Let me just move. I'm going to have to get this seat such that this line is going to be straight back, it'll curve round, and it's a gap, it's a gap. As someone pointed out on the last video I made about this bike, they said, oh well, a gap's not such a bad idea because it stops the front of the seat from rubbing along the paintwork and rubbing it away, which it will do in time. But that's quite a good point, but even so, it looks awful, so it's going to have to be changed. Yeah, so that's a bit of an issue. But let me go and sit down again, and I'll just explain something about these projects of mine. Oh, and by the way, I do apologise if I'm sniffing a bit, because I'm just getting over a cold, which has been a right pain for the last few days, but I'm over most of it now. Yeah, so anyway, I was looking at this bike and thinking about all the problems I've had with it. It's been going on for years and years and years, and you think, oh god, is it ever going to be finished? Is it ever going to be finished? Because you do one thing and it hits another problem, then you do another thing and you hit another problem. It's sort of never ending. And one of the key things you have to do when you build a project like this, or any kind of project, is you've got to plan steps ahead. So like, I should have worked out the fact that that was going to be a problem, and sort of worked it through before I got the seat painted, before I got the tank painted. I mean, I could have perhaps modified the aluminium seat base and made it a bit narrower, but that would have been quite difficult to do, because when I bought it, the previous owner, who's a good bloke, he fiberglassed underneath it to give it some more strength and rigidity, because aluminium seats have a tendency to crack if you're not too careful, and that would have made it cutting it up a lot more difficult. But anyway, that's all water under the bridge. Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and in my previous life as a working person, I was involved in project management, in manufacturing systems and so on, and plants and whatever in the chemical industry. And one thing that became apparent is that whatever you're doing, whatever project you're doing, whether it's a car, a bike, a manufacturing plant, software, whatever, they all seem to go through the same sort of time frame, sort of phase. And what happens is, you start off, and if you imagine a graph, I might even draw it out actually, and the x-axis, or y-axis rather, is how you feel about it, how people feel about the project. So going up, it's like, yeah, I feel great about this, and at the bottom it's, oh god, it's awful, it'll never work. And then this way is time, and whether the project lasts for a month, a year, or 10 years, doesn't matter, they all seem to go through the same sort of emotional turmoil, if you like. And what happens is, you start at the beginning and everyone's happy, they've got a brand new project to do, plenty of money, plenty of time, all exciting stuff. As if, say, I just bought this bike, it was an unridden, unrideable, sort of halfway to scrap project bike when I bought it, so it's all exciting because I can start digging into it, finding out about Moto Guzzi's, working out what I want to do with it, taking it apart, well, that's interesting sort of thing, and planning ahead and buying new parts. That's all very exciting. And that happens pretty much for any project, whether it's a house, a car, a bike, whatever. And then as time goes by, the excitement kind of fades away a little bit because you're sort of used to it, and you start hitting problems. Problems after problem after problem. You think, oh God, this isn't good. And one of the big problems is it takes longer than you expected, and it costs a lot more than you expected. That's often the case. And so your sort of enthusiasm and emotions and feelings about the project start to dive down, down, down. It doesn't take long. Dives right down, and then I think my boss called it something like the valley of despair or the valley of doom, because that graph is then in a sort of valley. And that's often times when you find people give up on projects. You think, oh God, I can't afford it, I've been doing it for years, never get finished, I'll stick it on eBay and sell it. But you shouldn't do that. You should plug on, and you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, even a year later, hopefully you'll get the money together, you'll get the time to continue with the project. And slowly, hopefully anyway, while I was playing, things start to go your own way. Things start to fit properly. You get the paintwork back, it looks fantastic. The ideas you had seem to work. You know, maybe you started for the first time in years, and it's like, oh, fantastic. And so then your things start to go up again, your emotions start to improve, and you're coming out of that valley of despair until eventually, hopefully, you get to the top and your project's finished and all's good. But as I say, oftentimes, whatever project you're doing, you go for that sort of valley of despair where things don't work, things are costing a fortune, you think, God, I can't afford this anymore, I'm going to get rid of it. But the trick is, don't give in and just keep on plugging away. And I say that with this particular project here, because when I got that seat back, it looked fantastic when I had it in my hand, but as soon as it went on the bike, it's like, oh no, not again. So know that, well, Anthony, who did the upholstery for me, is a great lad. No problem at all. He'll redo it for me however I want it. But probably it'll be another month, maybe another 2 months before he can do it for me. So it's not just the cost of it, which isn't too bad, I don't think. It's the time, you know, it's another 2 months that I can't sit on it, I can't sort of play with it, and it takes all the enthusiasm away from trying to finish the wiring and trying to get the damn thing on the road at last. Yes, that's a bit of a blow. But I've done enough projects in my time. I've done about, I don't know, 15, 20 bikes, and lots of projects back in my working day on other things. So, you know, we're all very aware of that. But if you're not aware of that, and you're just sort of coming in blind and you're all full of enthusiasm because you're young and you want to crack on with things, you can find it kind of overwhelms you at times. It's like, oh God, how can I fix this? This has gone wrong. I mean, maybe the piston's broken, maybe the crank's gone, maybe, you know, who knows what terrible things can happen inside an engine. I mean, I'm reminded of the fact that when I was getting my Kawasaki Z1170 engine rebuilt, we found a problem with a broken ring, and you can't buy them. So I ended up thinking, oh God, had to spend £595 on a new set of forged brand new pistons, which I could have done without, but you know, it makes the bike better overall, rather than using a set of used pistons, even though they're in quite a good nick. Banging in a set of forged pistons, you know, that's a great improvement. Makes the bike rev a bit quicker, lighter, hopefully a bit more powerful. Yeah, so overall it's not the end of the world. But if you didn't have £595 going spare that particular month or that particular quarter, you know, it just delays everything, and it gets become, you know, it's just like, oh God, here we go again in the valley of doom, the valley of despair. But you got to crack on and just carry on. So anybody who's doing a project like this, whether it's a car or a bike in particular, if you reach a point where you think, oh God, it's too expensive, I can't do it, I've hit a problem that I can't deal with, don't give in. Just put it to one side for a few weeks until you can afford it, or until you find some help. You know, there's lots of people out there who are happy to help you on forums, on the internet, or even in real life. In my case, you know, I've got a few mates who are into bikes and can do all kinds of cool stuff, machining work, engines, whatever. Yeah, so you can get there eventually. So that's a bit of a pep talk to myself, really, to say don't give in. Let's get that seat sorted out. I'll take it back to see Anthony sometime next week, or in fact maybe not next week, maybe a week after, as I'm waiting for a call from him, as I've got another seat for him to do right now. He's got it, so hopefully when he's done that seat, I'll go and see him and I'll take that back and tell him the bad news, in my case anyway, that it needs to be changed. Yeah. So right now then, I'm going to carry on working on my Z project here. The bits are all around here. The frame and engine that we put together, what, 2 weeks ago now, it's due to come back home with me any day now, because we have to wait till Les has his van emptied so we can get the damn thing in his van and bring it here. Yeah, so then things can start to progress again. God knows where it's going to go, because it's going to have to sit here. I've got a bit of space, but working on it's going to be difficult because there's no room. Good news is it's now summer, so I can really start to push this guzzi outside for a day when needed, rather than getting it all wet and dirty and whatever. And so in conclusion then, I would say, if you're about to start a big project like this, or even a small project, and you hit problems, which you will do, it'll cost more than you think, which it will do, and probably take longer than you think, which it will do, don't give in, just keep on going, and eventually, you know, you'll get there. You'll get out of that valley of despair, that valley of doom, and your emotions will get better, and hopefully you can finish the project and see the satisfaction of actually finishing something and being proud of what you built.